Welcome, everyone. Deborah, you think we have a quorum? We ready to go?
We got 56 in the room.
All right, let's do this thing. I'm going to fade the tunes. Wow. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome to our celebratory concert of ideas. It's so good to see you all. Thank you for joining us for this experience where we're celebrating more than 40 years of AMI. I want to offer, as we get started, just a tremendous thank you to John Cimino and the Creative Leaps team for creating what I'm sure will be such a special experience for us, and really building from their long history with AMI, which you'll learn more about today. It's hard to find the words to describe the energy and sense of renewal that it brings me to see all of you gathered here in this Zoom every time. We've been gathering monthly now, and each time I see you, I feel so much energy. I feel such a renewed spirit. And as we approach today, the words that I find are words that our founder, my father, Stan Gryskiewicz, has often used in reference to our intertwined and inspired community, and that is roots and wings. This was to be the theme for our planned anniversary celebration in the spring of 2020. We certainly look forward to when we can be together in person to celebrate, and here we are in the Zoom celebrating 40 years, and I find those words, roots and wings, so meaningful. Our roots are deep. On this Zoom, we have our founder, Stan Gryskiewicz. Stan, we are deeply grateful to you for founding this community over 40 years ago and for nourishing and growing our tree and giving us such strong wings. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge that we're joined by many AMI members from our early days and over the years. Welcome back to all of you. There are so many faces who were here from the start 40 years ago and over the years who've made the time and commitment to be here today to celebrate, so thank you. So we have these strong foundational roots as we grow into our future together. I also want to say we have wings that are widespread and carrying us forward. Our community is expanding. There are many newer members present today, some who've even joined us just since the pandemic, who've just only experienced AMI in this virtual world. So thanks to all of you for your curiosity and your commitment. Today, we also have members of the extended Creative Leaps family. John Cimino, your community has shown up today as well, so thank you and welcome. Thank you to my co-leaders here at AMI, to Rob and to Deborah, to our board, and to our member, David Colton, who jumped in as our video producer today. Thank you, David. I welcome all of you. Let's celebrate 40 years. Enjoy our concert of ideas. Rob?
I'm going to do a quick screen share here, get this set up, and give you all a little bit of background and instructions. As far as I can tell, this is the very first virtual concert of ideas. I've had a chance to attend several of these. Thanks, John, and to the Creative Leaps team for inviting me along the way. It's always been a pleasure. But we found that doing it this way is a little different, and we wanted to give you some tips and tricks to optimize the experience. Try to optimize your audio. We have some great music with dynamic range. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low. We found that with headphones, it may be able to help you hear the quiet parts as well. We encourage you, if at all possible, to keep your video on and get your screen set up in what we call side-by-side mode. So gallery view on one side, the concert video, and like this shared slide along the way. If you have a strange handle or you're using someone else's computer, you can rename yourself in Zoom. Just click on your name in the participant list and you should do that. We have this set up so that everyone enters the room muted. If you're muted on your picture, you'll see a little microphone and it's red with a line through it. When you want to speak or share something, you can come off mute. And so that's a click in the Zoom window. Most of our reactions are going to be set in chat, so leave your Zoom chat open. We're going to give you ample opportunity throughout the concert to respond. and offer some thoughts and feelings. You may also be called on to share a thought that you have along the way. So it's going to be a bit interactive. We would like you to encourage to express your feelings and emotion. Use chat, of course, but if you want to applaud, you can applaud. We can see your hands do this. We recommend all the time. Jazz hands are always a lot of fun, or if you're an experienced Zoom user, there is a reactions button where you can share different kinds of reactions along the way. When the concert ends, we are going to move to a set of discussion circles. They're going to be breakout rooms. You'll have the opportunity to spend 20 or so minutes reacting to, sharing your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and we're going to ask some questions about the future, as we always like to do. We have about 80 minutes or so of the concert itself. Then we'll move into the discussion circles, plenary. We are going to have a hospitality suite break, which is an unstructured time to be together at the end. But there is no planned break or intermission along the way. So use your best judgment to stay engaged while keeping yourself nourished and any needs met. The last thing I would like to say, this is a complex production. There is a lot of moving parts, and we're all connected via the internet. The likelihood of something going wrong is extraordinarily high. If it does, just roll with it. We'll bring it all back together the best we can. So be patient if it gets weird. You know, isn't that a great AMI kind of saying? We expect a little bit of that along the way, a little bit of positive turbulence, as we say. This is our timing for the day. We've got our short welcome here. The concert is going to run probably about 80 to 90 minutes. We have up to 50 minutes for our discussion circles and then the hospitality suite. Danielle, what'd I miss? Anything else here?
We're good, Rob.
All right, so let's welcome our friends from Creative Leaps International. I'm going to stop my share. David, do you want to take charge and roll the video?
Hi there, everybody. I'm John Cimino from Creative Leaps International, and what a thrill to be with you here live in the Zoom for this very special occasion. That piece of music was by Aaron Copland, based on a grand melody called Simple Gifts, the gifts in the room. Let me introduce my colleagues from the Creative Leaps team. We can see their pictures up on the screen. Right next to me is Christine McCune, one of our sopranos. She's from Newark, New Jersey. She happens to be teaching today, but she's here with us in spirit. Next is our leading lady, Diane LeGros, soprano from the Boston area. And next to her, Donna Wissinger, our magical flutist from sunny Florida. Our leading man, tenor Paul Spencer Atkins from the city of brotherly love. Down below is John Cimino. We call him Captain Ivories for obvious reasons, and more recently, Captain Video for editing all of our performance video. Chung Sun Kim is a fabulous cellist who joined us recently. Rich Al-Bagley is one of the co-founders of Creative Leaps and our lead percussionist, and his colleague Colleen Bernstein, an up-and-coming brilliant young percussionist. And next, you see the face of Snow, our dear AMI member who has contributed all of the slide images that you will see throughout the concert of ideas. A big round for all of them if you can. There we go. All right. We are here to celebrate you, to celebrate AMI and our great friend and founder, Stan Gryskiewicz. Bravo, Stan, 40 years of innovation, positive turbulence, and learning together, all in service to the common good. What could be better than that? However, our concert of ideas is more than a celebration. It is also a challenge to set your minds and hearts in curious, exploratory motion, to ignite our imaginations and propel us into inspired dialogue with one another. Now, of course, we hope you enjoy this, our first ever virtual concert of ideas, but we want you to know that the most important thing that will happen here this afternoon is not what we do on our little Zoom screens, but rather what happens here and here for you. And if you can't see me, I'm pointing to my mind and my heart. We invite you to pay close attention to all your brilliant thoughts and especially to the genius of your hearts. Give that your attention. One last thing, I want to share a kernel of wisdom from one of my own great mentors, Buckminster Fuller. Many of you may remember him, a prodigious inventor, architect, and man of ideas. He said, "Don't connect the dots too soon." He said, ideas are star points in the geometry of our thinking, and we must stand before them in awe and wonder and allow them to radiate their significance before we draw our conclusions. Don't connect the dots too soon. Some good advice for all of us as we enjoy today's program. So let's resume the video and our concert of ideas with some music by Robert Schumann and some guiding thoughts from two remarkable figures, one a poet, the other a scientist. To see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science. Whoever can no longer wonder, no longer marvel, is as good as dead, and his eyes are dimmed. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagination is more important than knowledge, and we invite you into that space, but we are very aware that each of us lives a very complex life with many responsibilities and an enormous number of distractions. But we in the arts have a trick that we play on ourselves all the time for entering into that space. And it goes like this. When art works, plays the thing. Richard, play. Let's roll the video. Bravo, Richard! I used to enjoy saying, who was that masked man? But alas, we are all masked men and masked women these days. I'll have to look for a new punchline. So here we are in this land of playfulness, this place of imagination. And now that we're here, I'd like to play a listening game with you. We call it Snippets, and it works like this. In just a few seconds, you'll see a recording of my colleague Donna performing on her flute, a beautiful melody about 20 seconds long. Our job is to answer the question, how does the music make you feel? In just one word, happy, sad, melancholy, joyful, whatever that might be. Now, we don't care what the composer may have been thinking or feeling, or even what Donna is thinking or feeling at that very moment. The question is for you. How does the music make you feel in just one word? And enter that word in the chat. Here we go. Beautiful. Let's take a look at the words coming in there. Wistful, grateful, hope-filled, wonder, calm, light, reminiscent, dreamy, melancholy, contemplative. Wow. I think we're ready for the next snippet. The same rules apply. This piece of music will come from Rich on the marimba. How does the music make you feel in just one word? We can launch the next snippet. Voila. All right, what do we see here? A margarita, I like that one. Playful, curious, peaceful, hurried, a little jealous, happy, romantic comedy, love it, bouncy, all excellent responses. For our third snippet, we have a new question. This time, the question is this: what do you see in your mind's eye? What do you see in your mind's eye? Or what do you see with your imagination? And notice if you are in the picture or if you are just an observer. And type your response into the chat once again. So this third snippet will come from our pianist, John Cimino. Love that one. Horseback riding in the dark. Wow. Running through a pine forest in the movies. Myself searching for a door that opens. Gosh, these are great. Great. Walking on a trail in the woods, running on a trail in the woods. Tom and Jerry cartoon in a park. It's stormy, window leaves are blowing. Anticipating the next scene. Concert hall from college. All great responses. Is there anyone who would like to share a particular response? Can we have a wave and you can open up your mute button and share a little more? I don't see any responses. Okay. Well, great. Okay, we move on. So we've seen some of the variety of our responses to the same stimulus, and I know I became incredibly curious as we proceeded. What will the next person say? There's such a variety. It's an invitation to step into someone else's experience. So we have learned to consult ourselves in the genius of our hearts and imaginations. Let's raise the ante a little bit. There's someone I'd like you to meet, and we can resume the video.
Let me set the stage. I shall impersonate a man. Come, enter into my imagination and see him. His name is Alonso Quijana, a country squire no longer young. A bony, hollow face, eyes that burn with the fire of inner vision. Being retired, he has much time for books. He studies them from morn till night, and oftentimes through the night as well. And all he reads oppresses him, fills him with indignation of man's murderous ways towards man. He broods and broods and broods, and finally, from so much brooding, his brains dry up. He lays down the melancholy burden of sanity and conceives the strangest project ever imagined: to be a knight-errant and sally forth into the world to right all wrongs. No longer shall he be plain Alonso Quijana, but a dauntless knight known as Don Quixote de la Mancha. Hear me now, oh, the bleak and unbearable world, thou art base and debauched as can be, and a knight with his banners all bravely unfurled now hurls down his gauntlet to thee. I, Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha, a destroyer of evil am I will march to earthly doings are past. For the holy endeavor is now to begin, and virtue will triumph at last. I, Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha, a name all the world soon will know. I commend now my soul to the wild winds of fortune, for whithersoever they blow. Whithersoever they blow, onward to glory we go. Gentle knights, fair chatelaine, if there be any among you who require assistance, you have but to speak, and my good right arm is at your service. Whether it be a king held under enchantment, an army besieged and awaiting rescue, or merely, dear God, it is she. Dear lady, fair maiden, I dare not gaze fully upon thy countenance, lest I be blinded by beauty. But I implore thee, speak once thy name, for I see no name tag upon thee. What is thy name, my lady? Snow. Snow. I fear that my lady jests. Perhaps it is the name of your serving maid. Is it thy true name? My lady wishes to put me to the test. Oh, sweet sovereign of my captive heart, I shall not fail thee, for I know. I have dreamed thee too long, never seen thee or touched thee, but known thee with all of my heart. Half a prayer, half a song, thou hast always been with me, though we have been always apart. Trumpets of glory now call me to ride. Yes, the trumpets are calling to me. And wherever I ride, ever staunch at my side, my squire and my lady shall be. Oh, am I Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha? My destiny calls and I go. And the wild winds of fortune shall carry us onward, whithersoever they blow. Whithersoever they blow, onward to glory we go.
So you're on your way to glory. You're connected to your vision, your mission, and your passion.
Hi, I'm Diane Legros. Our friend and colleague Christine's teaching today, but she's very much here in voice and spirit. I'm honored to read her words that describe her beautiful song. Christine says, "There's no doubt in my mind that everyone here wants to do incredible things with their lives. You want your lives to speak to your values." This song that I'm singing today is from a Broadway musical, Steel Piers, and it may offer some advice and it may offer a little direction. Christine, take it away.
First you dream about incredible things. Then you look
Oh, you gotta love that. Thank you, Christine, and thank you, Diane, for jumping in. For a little change, the dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise to the occasion. As our case is new, so must we think anew and act anew. No amount of personal significance or insignificance will spare one or another of us. The dogmas of the quiet past, Mr. Adkins.
Dogmas of the quiet past ain't necessarily so. In 1935, George Gershwin composed a little opera called Porgy and Bess, and it takes place in Catfish Row, South Carolina. In that little community is a character by the name of Sportin' Life who has his own take on the dogmas of the quiet past. So let's get ready. We're going to pay him a little visit and do our best to join his congregation as we hear what he's got to say.
Come on over here, ladies. Please help a brother out. It ain't necessarily so.
It ain't necessarily so.
The things that you're liable to read in the Bible, it ain't necessarily so. Little David was small, but oh my.
Little David was small, but oh my.
He fought big Goliath, all laid out and dying. Little David was small, but oh my. Abdomen, but Jonah, he lived in a well. Moses was found in the stream.
Moses was found in a stream.
He floated on water, and all Pharaoh's daughters, he fished him, she said, from a stream. Water, it's possible, but with a grain of salt. Methuselah lived 900 years.
Methuselah lived 900 years.
But who calls that living when no girl are given to no man but 900 years? I'm preaching this sermon to show it ain't necessary.
Wow. You go, Paul. I have to tell you all, it's so delightful to be here on Zoom. Way to go, Zoom. And to see your smiling faces and your dancing heads. Now I have to change the subject. I assume none of you here have ever worked under pressure. Nope. everything just comes as planned, as predicted. Well, there was this one very talented composer named George Gershwin. And a funny thing happened to George Gershwin on the way to the forum. He read in a newspaper that there would be this wonderful new work by George Gershwin to premiere in 2 weeks. There's only one problem. He forgot to write it. Wow. So, believe it or not, Gershwin wrote Rhapsody in Blue in just 2 weeks' time. And it's one of his greatest, most enduring masterpieces. And it has such an interesting title, Rhapsody in Blue. Well, I think we all kind of know the blue thing, you know, the blues, America's great art form. But what is Rhapsody? Well, actually, it's right there on your screen. And I live like a rhapsody. I thrive on the unplanned, the improvised, the structure, and then not the structure. The roadmap, throw the map away. So there's so much to learn that way. And I know we're all oriented differently. Some like to plan every detail. But in this musical form, Rhapsody leaves this room in the spirit of jazz for the spontaneity of creativity. And so I've played Rhapsody, I don't even know how many times, hundreds. And I make it my point with every performance that it is uniquely in that moment right now. I don't even predict what I'll do with a certain phrase of music. And there's nothing more exciting about that. And I encourage everybody in the way they live their creative life to let that happen as well. I hope you enjoy Rhapsody in Blue.
demonstration and a question. What do the two disciplines have in common? What habits of excellence do they share? What did I do with one that I also did with the other?
Okay, let's put our answers into the chat. Let's see what we have to say. What did she do with one that she also did with the other? Ah, yes, breathing agility. Discipline. Out of the park. I love it. Served us. Oh, that was cool. Inner motion. Determination. Muscle memory. Fantastic.
And you add 15 miles per hour on that serve with the breath. The intention and moving forward. They have so much in common, but it's also perhaps the nuance of their differences that spark the new discoveries.
Let's continue the video.
Isn't it amazing that in two different disciplines, ideas are sparked? It's a little bit like positive turbulence. What if we go to conferences that are outside our realm of experience? What kind of synergies, what kinds of innovations will arise? They're already in us. They just need a spark. I do not regret who I am. I wonder, savoring life, that expression of chaos and order made perfect by love. Who knows this profound love? A love that loves, accepts, encourages itself, not for deeds or even deeds undone, not for anything but itself. And because of that, it grows. The secret of music? Eternal youth. The power to awaken, enliven, and reintroduce the wonder and awe of living. The power to inspire the creative heart and nurture its essence.
This next segment is possibly my favorite, I have to admit. It's called Theme and Variation, as you can see. We're about to hear some music by Niccolò Paganini, written originally for the violin, but we have a special arrangement here for you today, performed by our own artists. And layered upon this gorgeous music, you will hear a collection of quotations, also in theme and variation form, that have been selected by our AMI members and will be read by them in magically synchronized performance, only possible on Zoom. Our central theme is twofold: positive turbulence and the wisdom of AMI. Here we go.
Positive turbulence means paying attention to the periphery.
It means disturbing the status quo, rocking the boat, and then rebalancing with refreshed awareness.
It means heart and head together, dedicated to the big picture, but also to what we can do together right now.
A mind once stretched by a new idea cannot shrink back to its original size. Necessity may be the mother of invention, but play is certainly the father.
Ever tried? Ever failed? No matter. Try again. Fail again. Fail better.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination.
Don't worry, said the Zen master. Everything is out of control.
If the success or failure of this planet and of human beings depended on how I am and what I do, how would I be? What would I do?
Gravitate toward people who value community and can handle disagreements with equanimity. Collaborate even when it's hard. We all see the world a little differently. Take advantage of this.
Tradition consists not in veneration of the ashes, but in passing of the flame.
Eventually, everything connects. People, ideas, objects. The quality of the connections is the key to quality per se. To be is to be related.
Never be limited by other people's limited imaginations.
To be free is not merely to cast off one's own chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others.
Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek.
What lies behind us is nothing compared to what lies within us and ahead of us.
After this, we will all have to live a little differently.
After this, we will all have to live a little differently.
After this, we will all have to live and think a little differently.
Bravo, AMI. Okay, Rich.
I, and frankly our whole Creative Leaps team, have always considered Stan Gryskiewicz to be a hero. He has an intellectual brilliance coupled with a gentle human spirit that leaves me in wondering admiration. He is what a role model is supposed to be. Heroes are not found in violent mobs, nor among demagogues who spew hatred. Rather, they are healers, creative innovators who share their gifts with their colleagues and their community. They see what has to be done, and they do it, usually without fanfare and without a need for acclaim or for acquiring status. We are all called to be heroes today. The story of the hero myth is as old as our cultural beginnings. Roll the tape, John. The hero moves away from his town or his village to a desert, to a mountaintop. Always trying to keep in touch and find the rhythm of the universe. And when the hero arrives at his place, he begins to ask those very fundamental questions. And if he's successful in his endeavor, he begins to feel a connection to the divine. A power surges through him. And then the question is, will he be able to channel and control this power and bring it back as a gift to his people? Or will it overwhelm him and destroy him? The Hero with 1,000 Faces, Part 1, Desert Journey.
Wow, Richard. A quick reel change, and we'll be moving into an interview with our man of the hour, Stan Gryskiewicz. Hang on, the new reel is just about ready. Stan, we've been wanting to share this next piece with our AMI community for a great many years.
Many.
It's called The Star Thrower, of course, and the story of how it came into our lives goes back to just a few months after we met, nearly 30 years ago.
Yes, I was so enchanted with what you had to offer. I invited you down. So we had a brainstorming meeting where they had come over from Europe. They met with us, they met with you, and we sat at CCL about what could this be. I still remember what you said that day. You said, if I have to stand up on a table and sing, I will, if that means funding.
And I think I actually did.
You did? You did.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so we went back of course we got funded, and we were going back to the airport.
And then you had this brainstorm.
Well, John, I think I was driving the car when we were talking about what should we do? What should we do? We have permission to do this. We have the funding to do this. What should it be? And I said, John, look in the backseat of my car. And you looked, and there was an essay by Lauren Isley called The Star Thrower. And you started grinning and saying,
Yeah, I said, Stan, you're not going to believe this, but here in my briefcase, I have the same story.
So I thought, I thought the gods had come together and said, John, you need to write an opera based on The Star Thrower.
And that's exactly what we did. I want to share with our listeners why this story by Lauren Isley is so important to us. Somehow embedded within it, it has some messages that go very deep. What would you say is the main message for you? What has stayed with you all these years?
What has stayed with me are two things, I guess. One is the fact that here was a man in this essay where he was running ahead of all the people, the collectors, the shell collectors, and he was taking starfish and throwing them out into the sea before the collectors got to the starfish. He was saving each one at a time, one at a time. And I felt like that's what we were doing at CCL, and that's what I thought we were doing at our creativity sessions as well. We were getting to these starfish before anyone else could get to them, and we were throwing them out into the sea. It was such an opportunity for me to feel like I was throwing starfish out into the sea ahead of all the collectors that were behind them. Before they went back to their business, they had a chance to have an experience at CCL. I would like to slip ahead to a quote by W.H. Auden. Dr. Isley, he referred to him as Dr. Isley, happened to be an archaeologist, an anthropologist, and a naturalist. But if I have understood him rightly, the first point he wishes to make is that in order to be a scientist, an artist, a doctor, a lawyer, or what have you, you have to, first of all, to be a human being. And in order to be a human being, I think there was this sense of you have to have this experience of knowing who you are.
Now, there's another great human being, someone you actually introduced me to some years back, named Harlan Cleveland. Now, not everybody may remember who he was, but he was Assistant Secretary of State for International Affairs during the Kennedy administration. And back in the year 2000, he was a guest speaker in D.C. for an AMI gathering.
He was, John. You should also, I don't know if you recall this, he also joined AMI for a while. So he's a member for a couple of years as well.
Fantastic.
We had a cast of characters.
And he was definitely one of the great ones.
He was really a great one. He said in order to be the great ones, he said, have a clear sense of mission is essential. The great leaders are those who have a clear sense of mission. It's essential. And he gave an example of Thor Heyerdahl.
Oh, right, exactly.
Norwegian adventurer and ethnographer. And Heyerdahl told him once that he had compressed his life motive into 7 words. This is his reason for being in life. Translate ideas into events to serve people. That's what the Star Thrower is all about.
Well, how about we jump right into the Star Thrower now?
Yes.
You're going to see it for the first time in a long while.
Perhaps far outward on the rim of space, a genuine star was similarly seized and flung. I could feel the movement in my body. It was like a sewing, the sewing of life on an infinitely gigantic scale. I could have thrown in a frenzy of joy, but I set my shoulders and cast, as the thrower in the rainbow cast, slowly, deliberately, and well. The task was not to be assumed lightly, for it was man as well as starfish that we sought to save. For a moment, we cast on an infinite beach, beside an unknown hurler of suns. I understand. Call me another thrower. O star within my hand, your 2 feet venture timidly among my fingers. How like a true star you cry soundlessly for life. Know me for this moment, I cast you far out on the waves, and with you I fling myself into an unexpected universe. O star, somewhere there is a hurler of stars, and not alone any longer. Call me another thrower. After us, there will be others. All those video special effects, of course, come from our pianist, Captain Video, John Cimino. Beautiful work, John. We're transitioning now to a song which I think ideally follows this story of rescue of starfish, which is also a rescue of ourselves as human beings. It's entitled Litany. The music, the words by James Baldwin, and the music by John Musto. I'm sorry, the text is by Langston Hughes.
This is a poem by Langston Hughes. It needs no introduction for you. You live this, you know this. Gather up, in the arms of your pity, the sick, the depraved, the desperate, the tired, all the scum of our weary city. Gather up in the arms of your pity. Gather up in the arms of your love. Those who expect no love from
Gorgeous, Diane. Gather up in the arms of your pity those who expect no love from above. Moving on, I'd be willing to bet that everyone here and most people on the planet are familiar with the name Luciano Pavarotti. And if you've ever heard him sing on the TV or on the internet, you're likely to have heard him singing an aria called Nessun Dorma from Puccini's opera Turandot. Some say it's the best aria ever written, and with good reason. Back when my colleague Paul Atkins and I were young whippersnapper singers, just getting started in the opera world, and Pavarotti was at his peak, we thought it might be cool to enter ourselves into Pavarotti's brand new, just announced international singing competition, Paul via his hometown in Philadelphia, and me here in New York. Long story short, we both won. Ha! Pavarotti selected Paul as the best American tenor, and I won in the baritone category. Quite a hoot. Now, Pavarotti may no longer be with us, but in just a minute, my colleague Paul, Pavarotti's choice as one of the best tenors of his generation, is going to treat us to his rendition of Nessun Dorma. Nessun Dorma means no one shall sleep. No one shall sleep because some hugely important question or task lies unanswered or unfinished before us. I think all of us here know that feeling, and it drives our work. To bring us into the spirit of this Nessun Dorma moment, I'd like to read a short exhortation inspired by AMI's own mission. Awaken to this golden day of working together. Awaken to this night of stars and bright imaginings. Awaken to your heart's desire and to the far horizons that are yet possible for you. Awaken to the roiling sea of change that sweeps over us, to the voices that cry out for mercy and others that would divide us. Awaken to your own voice that sleeps too soundly within you. Awaken that voice and let it speak to the souls of other men and women that none shall sleep tonight, none shall sleep while the world yearns and stretches to be reborn. And our work, our victory, lies incomplete before us. Bravo, Paul. The final piece in our program takes its title from some coming of age advice that Stan gave to me some 20 years back on the occasion of my birthday. That title is This Is Our Time. We were standing together on the shores of beautiful Lake George in upstate New York when Stan said, "John, this is our time." It was wonderful to be young and full of ideas, always bursting with passion as we petitioned those above us for permission to give our new ideas a try. But it's our turn now to lead. Most of that senior generation has their mind on retirement at this point, and it's up to us now to assume the responsibility for getting things done. It's up to us now to take the risks. If the world's going to change, it will be because we summoned our courage. We took the risks and decided to make it happen. This is our time, John. These words changed my life and are the inspiration for this next piece of music. The text we'll be singing has been specially customized for this day and this celebration. We dedicate it to Stan and the whole AMI community.
Generations yet to come, to work together for generations yet to come. This is our time to speak with passion. essences of who we are and our own impulses toward growth.
We are transmitters of life, or the absence of life.
Our choice is clear.
Our choice is clear.
Our choice is clear.
Well, that was amazing. How about another round of applause for John and his Creative Leaps team? Just amazing. Not your typical Thursday afternoon, was it? Stan?
Yep.
I wonder if you might take a moment and share some thoughts and reactions with us.
Yes. John and the Creative Leap team, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with tears that you gave to me. Thank you very much. And now, thank you. Well, now, let me look at you. I would begin each meeting by looking at your faces, if you all remember. Let me look at your faces now. Wow. Well, you're all star throwers. I want to thank John and his colleagues for their creation and their creativity. I was moved today like I have been moved for 40 years. I want to say again, the best damn meeting ever. And third, thank you, Danielle, Rob, David, Snow, and Deborah for all your work and your creation. And four, I'd like to thank the AMI board members for standing by us. Will the board members here raise their hand? Thank you. Thank you. And the AMI community continues for each other. If you've been an AM member for 15 or more years, will you raise your hand? I'll wave it back. And continuing our style, I'd like to end with a beg, a brag, and a what if. It's from me to you. A beg that we have another 40 years for this community of practice. My brag is we have been here for each other for 40 years. That's a brag. We've been here for 40 years for each other. My what if, it's more personally. The 80 of us who can be here for each other. Let me look at you and stare at your faces. And remember all the faces we have seen over these 40 years. Thank all of you. See you next time.
Thanks so much, Stan. Hey, after so much inspiration and shivers and tears and everything that just happened in AMI style, we need to talk about this a little bit. And so we're going to move to some breakouts. I'm going to set up a quick screen share. Deborah is at the ready. We're going to take about 20 minutes. We're going to have small groups, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever it may be. what we'd like you to do is very first just identify someone.
Uh-oh. Is Rob frozen for all of you? Yeah.
To pull out a pen, pad, any way you'd like to make notes, anything that you do to remember things and think through things. Remember to headline your thoughts, and we're going to come back into plenary and talk about these things before we take some unstructured time in the hospitality suite. So the first 10 minutes, reflection. Share with one another some of the impressions, insights, both what's happening to you internally and externally as you went through the concert of ideas, any surprises, particular emotions, new thinking or ideas that emerged. And then in the second 10 minutes, you'll get a small broadcast message or cue to switch to envision as Stan challenges us with his bag. What is the next 40 years going to be like? We never imagined that we would have switched to virtual gatherings for the last year and a half, nor to experience a concert of ideas like we did today. What haven't we thought about for these next 40 years, and what do we need to do now to get there? And so I'll pause my screen share back to gallery mode. Danielle, anything else you want to add as we go off to breakouts?
Nope, we're good to go, Rob.
All right, Deborah.
See you in 20 minutes. Everyone, welcome back. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Danielle, we want another hour. Can we go back?
Right. I know. In fact, Deborah and I were saying we should all take a collective deep breath.
Thank you.
Right? We could talk about this for a good long time. And for those of you that joined the hospitality suite, I went and got myself a bottle of sparkling rosé. We can talk about this together. Yeah, we can talk about this together after, but we do want to spend some time in the program here in reflection. Rob, if you wouldn't mind sharing the slide, we can kind of get set up here. What we're looking for are your headline highlights. So you had some conversation. It may have felt shorter. It definitely probably felt shorter than you'd hoped for. But we'd like to hear from you now, your headline highlights from your small group discussion circles. Have you entered those reflections into the chat? And you can also raise your virtual hand. We'll kind of take this question by question, look to get some reflection going here. So as you spend some time thinking about the experience, the impressions, the insights, the ideas which surfaced, what's meaningful to you, what were some of the things that were coming up in your groups? And you can pop those into the chat. Some headlines of the themes, the conversation, what was striking you. Would love to hear from all of you. And I know it takes a minute to type. Love and sadness both. Yes, Jenny Heaton, thank you for that. What? Yes, kind of like roots and wings, right, Jenny? Love and sadness both. Truly roots and wings. Thanks, Marcia. Hear you, David. Feel it all rather than thinking about it. Yeah, David, you want to come off mute and say something about that?
Yeah, we were in our group and we were sitting there and we were all just sort of looking at each other like this huge thing just wrapped up. And so we needed a moment to just sort of take a moment because there was so much feeling about it. And, you know, all the comments about goosebumps and tears. And so it's hard to like think about it right now, you know, so, but our group did a nice job. We pulled together.
Yeah, I hear you. Awesome. Hey, Steve, who we are. Say more about that. What do you mean who we are? What was coming up? Steve Wyatt. You can come off mute.
Yeah, you know, we've oftentimes talked about the fact that, you know, the innovation spaces we play in are very unique and very misunderstood within, you know, within the context of who we're working with or for. And AMI, I think, allows us to not only understand, but reinforce who we are as individuals, who we are as contributors, within the organizations that we work with or within our families as well. And the one aspect that we felt really is highlighted within this is heart and emotion. That it's so front and center to who we are. And we see it every time we're together, over the 40 years that AMI has been in existence. And it's unlike any other, organization or conference you can belong to, because it's a very unique individual that I think is attracted to this and, and remains with it. So
thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Kind of what it is.
You had me curious when you wrote who we are. I knew there was more behind that. So thank you. Hey, Joe Gamble, I wonder if you might come off mute and talk about nurturers of innovation. What was coming up in your group's conversation?
I think that just who we are from Stan onward and through all the connections, it's so heart-led. It's less management structure. It's more leading with the heart. So it's instead of managers of innovation, nurturers of innovation was a thought that it's really about the people as opposed to managing an idea, managing an innovation.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Joe. Hey, Mark Rice, it's been a while since I've seen you. I see you talking about broken patterns. Would you come off mute and say a little more? It's so nice to see you.
Likewise, Danielle. It's great to see you. I had mentioned in the group that I'm currently teaching an entrepreneurship course with a creativity component. And one of the themes is De Bono's idea of lateral thinking. And De Bono had said, one of the great values of a human mind is that it's a patterning machine. But one of the downsides is the patterns become rigid with use. And we need to be able to break out of patterns. And so, for me, this whole experience of the concert of ideas with AMI has been a pattern breaker. And God knows the world needs more of that right now.
Yes, thank you. Michael Robinson, someone quoted you and then you jumped into the chat as well. Might you come off mute and say a bit about what was coming up in your conversation?
I thought it was really, we had a couple of the artists in our room, and I thought it was really nice to see that my kid's watching Paw Patrol right now, so he did that. So. That's awesome. That the platform allowing artists to see folks' reactions in real time was really powerful. I thought that was cool to get that feedback from one of the performers. And in response to the envisioning the future of AMI, we talked about, AMI, I said being less corporate, more grassroots, more in a sense, partnering and thinking about partnerships in different ways to allow for that innovation that we hold so sacred to flow, to see it, to think about what positive turbulence looks like outside of simply the experience of being in a different space, but also bringing people together as we do, but continuing to foster that idea of bringing people together from different experiences being the positive turbulence piece, that guiding factor. So.
Awesome. Michael, thank you. Jennifer Peavy, Jennifer Lieberman, two Jennifers. You're both talking about sort of the fact that we leave something like this and it's hard to even name what we've experienced. Would you both, or one of you, hop off mute and then we'll hear from the other one. Jennifer Peavy, what were you thinking?
A lot of it is like most AMIs, there are little tidbits that come out and you put them in your bag and you take them with you and then unpack them. And for me, a lot of it is I have been using the new me, the breezes at dawn have secrets to tell you, don't fall back asleep. And that's been something that's been part of my entire pandemic. Every morning, that is something I say. And I have been thinking about this idea of being awake as opposed to, I've had one person talk about being unplugged from the matrix. You finally are awake and aware of what is going on. For me, the part that I was taking away was the next line, because I didn't know there was a next line, or at least where I source of it didn't have the next one of articulating what I want.
Thank you.
Instead of falling back to sleep. And so that's not something I can say right now, but it's, you know, it's easily something that I need to spend time with and process. So even though it was breaking patterns and being very different, I still am walking away with the same things that I would at any other AMI. So
thank you, Jennifer. And Jennifer Lieberman, what's on your mind? What was your group discussing?
Yeah, you know, I agree. We broke a pattern there, and as David Colden said, you know, it took us a moment to even fully understand what that was. Deborah, thank you. There were moments where I saw you starting to sing, and I started singing myself, and there were moments when I didn't know if I was in a professional meeting or I was at church on Sunday, but I was so touched and just full of joy seeing all of your faces. I miss you so much, and I miss the resilience and the uplifting feeling you give me, and the optimism to go forward and do really hard work. And I think the thing that was most moving to me was, this is our time. And I wrote down as much of it as I could. It really spoke to me because I'm doing some work that is very hard and nobody else is doing. And it was just what I needed. So I took some screenshots to try to explain to people what this was. And I think it's just going to have to be an experience that only we understand. And that's special in and of itself. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Folks, the second question about envisioning, some of you have started to pop into the chat things that were coming up there as you think about the future for AMI in the next 40 years. Would love for you, with intentionality, to pop into the chat what you were discussing, what comes to mind as you envision and think about the future of AMI. This entire chat will be brought back to all of you and shared and continue to inform and inspire us. So take a moment and respond as well in the chat to the second question, headline highlights from your conversation. And meanwhile, Kim McEachran, I'd love to invite you off mute. Pick up your dreams. Come off mute and say a little bit more.
Right. So our group had a good discussion on just, again, you know, the amazing experience together, and then also reflecting on, it's been a challenging time for people, you know, not just AMIers, but really everywhere. And so I think we got into a little bit of the question, have people given up on some of their dreams? Mm-hmm. You know, do we have communities and others, or, you know, where are we at with that? And how can we, you know, the word transmit or be catalysts or help people pick them up again? You know, how do you pick up your dreams again in your community, your family, at work? And then, you know, how do we help people move that forward? You know, the star catching is with relationships and people, and also we discussed a little bit more, and I think this was brought up a couple different times, in that if you think about the next 40 years, how does this scale? Mm-hmm. How do you get a little more awareness? How do we invite others in from time to time in broader meetings or different meetings, so that some of this learning and experience and mentorship can go out in a larger scale? I heard the word partnering. There may be a way to think about that differently and get some of these lessons learned, you know, to move forward into a new future with the head and heart, and some really ways to keep dreaming. Because I think probably every one of us at some point felt like our dreams got lost. And now how do we pick them up again in some way?
Thank you, Kim. Jane Hilberry, you had a response to Q2. You popped in here coming out of your group. Would you come off mute and share?
Yeah, we were just thinking about how, you know, one of the great strengths of AMI is this practice that we have of all of us bringing our really diverse fields of expertise to bear on a particular question when someone presents something, and we bring in the blue cards and all. And, you know, I was just wondering, like, is there a way that we could use that expertise and bring it to bear on some of these just really what sometimes seem like impossibly difficult questions right now? we talked in our group, either about like partnering with communities as we do when we have a meeting in a community, we go in and work with the community, but could there be something like that that's more ongoing? Or could we choose an issue and have like a working group or working groups who bring this kind of collective expertise to bear on something that's just, it's a very real world kind of question.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. So much rolling in here. Jenny Heaton, you're talking about the future of AMI. What was coming up in your group?
I'm putting in all these quotes because we just had such an incredibly rich discussion, and it started with, really talking about how fear stymies the creative spirit, and you can see and hear the exact quote around it, and it led to like what you need to cultivate in the soil, which is an incredible kind of bringing it all back to the roots. But Kim was just talking about the kind of the next phase of that conversation in diversity and really making sure that we are paying attention to how to get young people involved and how to get new people involved and different people involved and really to make the soil as rich as possible for the future.
Yes. Do you remember, Jenny? I don't know if you were with us. We had an AMI meeting focused on terroir.
Yes,
we
I
were
was
in
there.
Ann Arbor. Yes. So that speaks to the soil. Wow. I mean, we could spend time together unpacking everything that's come into the chat. Doug Gunlock, thank you for being such a thorough note taker for your group and capturing everything that you all discussed and how you're building on each other's thinking here. I just have enormous gratitude for all of you and for being here today, celebrating with us, and just being part of this incredible concert of ideas. Who knew? Who even knew what a concert of ideas was? Here we are on the other side of it, transformed for sure. So I want to just express all in gratitude to the Creative Leaps team, John Cimino and the entire team. Wow, just wow. There are no words to express the experience, the magical, tremendous, transformational experience that you created for all of us. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really, really incredible. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Dad. And somehow I feel like he dropped from the Zoom. Are you there, Dad? There you are. Thank you. Thank you so much for founding AMI and for, igniting a spark that's created this energy and this type of exchange and experience for all of us. Thank you. Thank you to all of you for being here with us today for this concert of ideas and for being here with us always. We look forward to our continued gatherings. Just enormous, enormous gratitude all around. And with that, Rob, I think I'm handing over to you.
But wait, there's more. Don't leave yet. We are going to stick around for another 30 minutes or so and just sort of share informally. If you'd like to join AMI and have access to this on a regular basis, we're not going to do a regular concert of ideas. It was quite a production, but there are other things coming forward. Email Deborah. We are going to share a feedback survey. This is more than just how was this for you? This is an opportunity to reflect back and what your learnings have been, that those learnings get shared with others as well. We are going to share some follow-up materials. We have some things from the concert, theme and variations, others. We're going to attempt to try to package the whole experience in a video. More to come on that, no promises, but given the wizardry that we saw from John and John to make it happen so far, we hope we can do something with that. November 18th, Joe and Karen are going to lead us through a way to envision the future, which builds on the last question that we had here. And then we'll be sharing with you all our plans for 2022. That's an amazing number to even think about. And so that's it. That's it for the formal part of the program. Again, applause and great gratitude for Creative Leaps and everything that was done there.
And snow, your imagery snow.
Snow, yeah, that's right.
Thank you.
And Snow, the look on your face when Don Quixote, that whole thing happened there on the video was just incredibly priceless. So
thanks to everyone. Please stay for the hospitality suite if you'd like. I, for one, have a champagne glass and some sparkling rosé.